In tonight's Project Safe Schools, the Union Public Schools Board of Education still discussing how it's going to start the school year. Superintendent Kirk Hartzler is recommending that students start from home with distance learning. 2 Works View's Katie Kelleher is live outside the meeting tonight with the very latest for us. Katie?
The board voted to deny the motion to do distance learning and will continue with in-person and virtual learning this fall. It was very divided between the board. The Union Public Schools Board of Education had already approved a plan that let parents decide between virtual or in-person learning. Superintendent Kirk Hartzler said his new recommendation came after discussions with the Tulsa Health Department. The Union Classroom Teachers Association also supported distance learning. Some parents said they didn't feel comfortable sending their child to school. Others were voicing their opinions for support for in-person classes, saying they can't stay home with their child during the day.
Distance learning is going to be really tricky. I am a single mom, and so the idea of having to do distance learning, especially if there's like a set schedule, feels near impossible.
Braden Best, Grant Grieber.
So once again, the board did just vote to deny the distance learning, and it will continue with its original plan. Parents have the option to send their child to school in person or do virtual learning. And their first day of school is in just 2 weeks. Live at Union High School, Katie Kelleher, 2 Works for You.
Our Project Safe Schools coverage continues for you online. Right now on our website, how other Green Country school districts plan to go back safely during the pandemic. Those plans online right now, kgrh.com. Well, the State Department of Health is reporting 397 new cases of COVID-19. This brings the total to almost 44,000 confirmed cases in Oklahoma. 2 more deaths were reported, bringing that number to 605.
Now, your 2 Works for You first forecast, sponsored by Executive Homes.
Because of a large severe storm to the north of Tulsa earlier tonight, we cooled down from an outflow boundary. The gust front that came on through with that cooler air from the severe storm. Take a look at the difference from 24 hours ago. It's 10 degrees colder tonight compared to last night at this time, and 8 there for Bartlesville, so 8 degrees colder compared to last night at this time. Live dual Doppler radar Viper 4D, pretty quiet now in eastern Oklahoma and southeast Kansas. A few showers from time to time, though we're watching this severe line moving in from western Oklahoma that could impact our area overnight tonight with severe storms with damaging gusty winds. We're going to take a look at next weekend and when we'll catch a break from the extreme heat.
Brandon, thank you. Not 1, but 2 vehicles stolen from a Tulsa woman in less than 6 months. 2 Works for You's problem solver Sierra Pizarro tells us how it happened and what you can look out for to help.
Ashley Carter caught a flat tire on Southwest Boulevard. She left her black Cadillac Escalade at this burned-down convenience store in Oakhurst until she could bring back a new tire. A couple days passed and it was gone.
I'm surprised at how quick somebody made that decision to take somebody else's stuff.
4 months and a new truck later, a second theft at the gas station on West 42nd Place and South 33rd West Avenue.
Forgot my mask, ran back to the truck, got my mask, ran back in. I was probably in the store maybe 2 minutes. I grabbed some donuts and some chocolate. Was standing at the register and I heard ding ding, like a car unlocked, caught my attention, turned around and looked. And noticed my truck backing out.
That was around 11:30 Sunday night. Tulsa police say they're still waiting on a copy of the surveillance video, but described what they saw inside the store to Carter.
The woman got out of her truck, walked by our truck, noticed it's running, stopped, looked at her boyfriend, pointed at it. He shook his head yes, and she got into the truck and drove off.
This dark blue 2014 4-door Dodge 1500 had a paper tag because Carter bought it just 2 weeks ago.
They don't know what I'm doing. You know, if I have somebody at home that depends on the vehicle, which I do. You know, my daughter, his mother, who's, disabled, depends on us to get her back and forth to the doctors and stuff like that. We can't afford that. Can't afford another loss.
Police call it a crime of opportunity. Carter left her doors unlocked and the car running.
People never intend to leave it for very long. But it doesn't take very long. It's 10 to 30 seconds and it's gone.
This is TPD's crime map. All the black cars indicate auto thefts. There are at least 60. The earliest one is from July 31st. Sergeant Jack Ritter says 25 to 30% of these include vehicles that were left unlocked.
I'll come pick it up. and drop all the charges. I mean, I don't want to file charges. I don't want to put anybody in jail. I just want my truck back.
I'm Sarah Pizarro, 2 Works for You.
Well, Broken Arrow businesses are getting help with personal protective equipment. Universe Corporation plans to donate 10,000 face masks to the Broken Arrow Chamber of Commerce, which will pass them on. The chamber plans to reach out to members and let them know how they can put in a request for the free masks. Universe plans to give boxes of masks to the chamber this Wednesday morning.
4 Oklahoma tribes are suing the state over its gaming compacts with 2 other tribes, the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, and Citizen Potawatomi nations, all sued in district court asking for a declaration that the Department of Interior violated federal law by allowing the agreements between Governor Stitt and the Comanche Nation and the Oto-Missouri tribe to take effect. So far, no word from the state or the Department of Interior.
As we wait to hear who Joe Biden has picked as his running mate, one question facing the Democratic nominee is, will his lack of travel to swing states hurt his campaign? For the most part, the former vice president has been campaigning virtually for months while President Trump is still traveling. Our Joe St. George looks at whether one tactic will push a candidate over the top.
It may sound hard to believe, but we're now inside 90 days until the election. With the pandemic still gripping society, there's no telling what's going to happen. But we do know both presidential campaigns are adjusting. Instead of massive rallies, President Trump is holding more official White House events in swing states. In fact, in the last 3 weeks, President Trump has been to Ohio, Florida, Texas, Georgia, and North Carolina. As for Joe Biden, the only swing state he's been to is Pennsylvania, and that was a quick drive from his home in Delaware.
He's not getting out of his basement.
President Trump has been criticizing this for months, with some asking, can Joe Biden win the election without many swing state visits?
We are campaigning in a way where we are keeping our supporters, our staff safe, but we are still getting the vice president's message out to voters.
TJ Ducklow is Biden's press secretary and says instead of rallies, the Democratic nominee is reaching voters in new ways. Biden is doing more local news interviews via Zoom, like this one he did recently with ABC 15 in Phoenix. He's also doing more virtual events.
Are you worried people are tired of Zoom?
We are seeing an incredible amount of support.
But we wanted to know, is this Biden strategy energizing voters, or are online events getting boring? To find out, we spoke with our political reporters in Cleveland and Detroit, John Cossack and Brian Abel. Both have worked their sources to get us non-biased answers.
I don't know that the virtual events are mobilizing voters beyond those that are already mobilized.
I think the novelty of politics maybe as a whole has worn off. You know, people are ready to cast their votes.
But as one source in the Biden campaign tells me, they may be doing things differently, but polls show them in the lead. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
An apparent shooting outside the White House this afternoon. Just as the coronavirus briefing got underway in the briefing room, a Secret Service agent approached the president, said something in his ear, and the president promptly walked out. Well, moments later, the president, along with agents and some others, walked back in and told reporters that a person had been shot by the Secret Service.
There was a shooting outside of the White House and seems to be very well under control. I'd like to thank the Secret Service for doing their always quick and very effective work. But there was an actual shooting, and somebody's been taken to the hospital.
Details remain unclear, but law enforcement officials say that the shot was fired by a Secret Service uniformed division officer.
Next at 10, we hear from legal experts on some new concerns over a possible COVID-19 vaccine.
Plus, an update to a story we brought you last week, how one little boy is closer to getting his service dog. As we race to develop a coronavirus vaccine, some major questions are emerging. A lot of people are wondering if the government could force people to get it, or could people who refuse get banned from stores or maybe even lose their jobs? Legal experts weigh in. Imagine a world where you have to get vaccinated and show proof to go shopping, board a plane, or just go to work. Legally, it could happen, says University of San Diego law professor Dov Fox.
States can compel vaccinations in more or less intrusive ways. They can limit access to schools or services or jobs if people don't get vaccinated. It could force them to pay a fine or even lock them up in jail. Those measures have been adopted in other countries like France, but not so far in the United States.
It all dates back to a Supreme Court case in 1905. The court held that Massachusetts could fine people for not getting vaccinated against smallpox. That case became the basis of vaccine requirements at schools.
Courts have found that when medical necessity requires it, the public health outweighs the individual rights and liberties at stake.
Just last year, New York City passed an ordinance fining people for not getting a measles vaccination. But there's a big difference between what states have the power to do and what Congress could do.
There are these questions, separation of powers, Commerce Clause questions.
Professor Fox says a federal vaccine requirement would probably get shot down by the current Supreme Court based on a 2012 ruling on the Affordable Care Act. That means we could have a patchwork of different vaccination requirements in different states. Professor Fox says states would need to allow exemptions for people with legitimate medical risks like pregnancy, but not exemptions for other reasons.
Religious exemptions, philosophical ones, have largely been overridden in the name of public health.
However, Professor Fox says recent protests over face coverings show there's a risk of a backlash. And just because states have the power to require vaccinations in a case like this doesn't mean it's the best public policy. Well, those legal experts also say that private businesses would have the authority to fire workers who don't want to get vaccinated for personal or religious reasons. Companies would just need to show that there are significant costs at stake for having unvaccinated employees. One mother has been waiting for more than 4 months for the Housing Authority to move forward with her Section 8 voucher. Karen.
That's right. Brittany Ross is saying, actually, we should move on to the next story. Cameras are being installed in the Greenwood district to catch vandals. This one after someone poured blue paint on the Black Lives Matter mural. Now, no suspects have been identified, and there is no surveillance video to help. Now, one group is working to change that. The president of the Greenwood Arts and Cultural Society says he's using his own money to post cameras to capture any movement on Greenwood Avenue.
They have night vision. So that will help us out quite a bit because the lighting here, while it's good, is not always the best. So that way we'll be able to see exactly who it is that comes through here and what kind of activities they do.
Neil says the plan is to install 2 cameras immediately and order more within the next week.
All right, you remember this little guy right here? We featured Braxton Kinsey in our problem solver story for you on Friday. Cute kid. Well, he suffers from recurring seizures. He's fundraising for a service dog. We are happy to report tonight that you helped him bring in about $700. He's closer to the goal now. If you did miss the story, you can head over to our website, kgrh.com.
Now, your 2 Works For You weather, sponsored by Executive Homes.
We are tracking more severe storms on dual Doppler radar Viper 4D tonight across western Oklahoma all the way up and throughout Wichita. Looks like that severe line is mostly severe on the southern end of the line right now, but that line will continue to press off towards the east and potentially enter our viewing area, southeast Kansas and Green Country overnight tonight. So we'll talk about that. But from the storms earlier, take a look at what they did to the temperatures. Now 73 refreshing degrees in Pryor, upper 70s in Bartlesville, 81 in Muskogee, and upper 70s for our viewers in Tahlequah. So the storm outlook overnight tonight has been upgraded, unfortunately, to a slight risk that has been indicated for Bartlesville up through southeast Kansas, back off towards Interstate 35 and around Ponca City, and a marginal risk of severe weather around Tulsa. So the green shading is a level 1 out of 5 risk, and the yellow is a level 2 out of 5 risk. And again, that's overnight tonight. The heat indices will continue into the hundreds over the next several days, all the way through next weekend. But there are big signs that we're going to have a big cool down on the way for next week. Take a look at the feels like temperature on Monday. We'll take that into the mid 90s compared to the 100s. 79 degrees is your current temperature. Southeasterly winds upwards of 7 miles per hour. Today was 96 degrees before that big storm came in to the north of Tulsa, with that morning low down to around 80. So generally today the wind gusts were between 20 and 30 miles per hour, but just after 3:30 this afternoon we had a powerful wind gust up to 53 miles per hour in the Bartlesville area because of that severe storm. You can see on the satellite picture over the past couple of hours the flare up of the cloud cover right there from Wichita, Kansas all the way south to western Oklahoma, and that's the showers and storms that will probably enter our area overnight tonight through tomorrow morning. Take a look at future track radar. radar after 1 o'clock tonight, right over Interstate 35 to the north of OKC. Getting closer to our area, this is after 3 o'clock in the morning. Again, some of these cells could be turning severe with a damaging wind threat, and then the chances for showers and storms will be around all tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon, probably putting a cap on our daytime highs. So if we have all that activity in the morning, in the afternoon, we probably won't reach the 90s, which is a great thing, but still we have our forecast into the 90s tomorrow, all dependent on the clouds and also the showers tomorrow. 76 degrees is our overnight low forecast, an increasing chance for thunderstorms. Some of those, again, might be turning severe. 94 degrees is our temperature tomorrow for the forecast. South winds between 10 and 20. Chance for showers and thunderstorms not only for the morning, but also for the afternoon. Now, if we don't see too much in the way of showers and storms, our heat index by the afternoon between 100 and 105. And again, tomorrow, the best chance for severe weather during the day is going to be across southeast Oklahoma. Your latest 10-day forecast, high temperatures into the 90s all the way through, I would say, Monday. But take a look at that. Upper 80s to around 90 for next week. A big cool down looks to be on the way for next week, with morning lows even into the 60s. Download our free Storm Shield weather app from the Apple App Store and Google Play. We'll be right back with sports.
Two Works for You Sports, sponsored by your Oklahoma Ford dealers.
The 2020 college football season has now been canceled for 26 FBS teams. The Mountain West Conference calling off fall sports Monday night. Our old buddy Todd Graham, now the head coach at Hawaii, has to wait until the spring at the earliest